Well, it's the second time I've seen the film. And if I didn't already know that you were such a beautiful human being, I'd have to hate you just a bit for making such an extraordinary first film, really. I mean, seriously, it's absolutely, really, I mean, on so many levels. It's so full of the art that conceals art. It's so perfectly crafted, from the first hard sound cut, from the ever-present cicadas, and you can smell the maquis in Corsica. I've been there, and I've never seen that place evoked so immaculately, and I've never seen such a tender, beautifully loving portrait of the life of mafiosi. I mean, I don't think there's ever been one, and so I want to start with that, because you obviously have great love for this place and great love for these people, as well as an intimate understanding of them. So why don't you start there and talk to me about all of that? Good luck.
You have 3 hours. I mean, yeah, I was in this stage earlier to talk about that. The first idea came up when my wife, who's also the music composer of the film, Audrey Ismaël, just right here, told me that she was pregnant. Yeah. And she's a great music composer, but she's an even greatest mom, you know? She told me that she was pregnant 6 years ago, and it kind of, at this time I thought about what child I was going to have, what father I was going to try to be, and inevitably I thought also about the child I was and the parents I had. And a vivid memory came up, and I was like 10 years old, and I was spending times with my father and some friend of his on the Corsican shore in a makeshift camp, just like the makeshift camp you see in the film. I mean, not just like, it was that makeshift camp. It was that place. And everything started here, so we needed to have it on the screen. And yeah, I mean, it was the perfect holidays, because we went fishing all day long. We were with all this makeup, cook, the kitchen, we slept under the stars, and it was the perfect life. And a few years later, I learned that this moment that I thought that it was just holidays, with your father, was actually a totally different matter to him. He was living something totally different from what I was living. And from that, being an adult, I thought that maybe we could have a great story talking about a father and a daughter who are on the run, trying to know, understand, and love each other, just like I told before, and trying to describe a filial relationship that tries to exist, to survive in a context where everything is dying.
So I noticed you didn't tell us more. I sense that you have far more connections, and your father had far more connections to this world than you were telling. But are you obeying the injunction that he gives his daughter? You never speak about this ever. When the father tells her that you may never talk about this ever, are you obeying that injunction?
That's what we're doing right now.
Okay, well, sort of, yes.
That's the exercise.
Yes, okay, fair enough. I'll let you off with that one. Probably one of my all-time favorite films, a great, great masterpiece, I think Guillermo del Toro's greatest, Pan's Labyrinth. I would rate this film alongside that in terms of the astounding way it exfoliates a violent adult world through the eyes of a child. What made you choose a girl to tell that story?
Well, from the very beginning of the project, it was really obvious that I wanted to be on a child point of view. That was totally thrown in a very opaque, dark, adult male world, and yeah, it was obvious from the beginning that it had to be a girl for a drama potential, because even if the character is not too sexualized, I mean, to be totally honest with you, the story and the character and the dialogues would have been the same if we were talking about a little boy. But yeah, it has more strength for Jeanne, my co-author, Jeanne Herry, and I, to deal with a little girl. It would be, first of all, more surprising, and this contrast between this girl and all these men and all this masculinity, all this patriarchy, made sense for us. So yeah, that was, and probably also to take on my part some little insight, also to be able to create fiction and not trying to go on something biographical or autobiographical.
Yeah, but you still set it back in a period. It's not now. It is then. Was that a deliberate choice?
Yeah, that was also very present at the very beginning, that this story had to take place in the 90s. We set place in 95 because we had to decide at some point which precise
when
year,
there were still transistor radios and things like that.
But between 83 and 85, it's not the same transistor, it's not the same cell phone. Yeah. So we had to fix a precise date. So we said 85. And yeah, it was really important for us. First of all, because that's the year I knew when I was a child and when I had Lesia's age. And also because it was a special time in Corsica in terms of, I mean, this decade, the 90s decade, was a decade very, very important in terms of the economical, social, and political future of Corsica. And there was a lot of stuff going on there. There was the nationalist war. We have such a very tight relationship with the French state. Also, there was the Accord de Matignon, for those who knows in France what it is. And there was the border between nationalists and let's say the mob weren't pretty blurred at this time. And you had connection between nationalists that went into business and the other one went into the underworld, the mob and the mafia. And at some point you didn't know who was who. And there was a lot of murders, but you didn't know where does the hit come from, you know, where does the death come from. So from what I wanted to tell in this story, which is the end of a reign, the end of the end of an era, that's what's going on throughout the film. And it was really, I mean, it made sense 100% to relate this decade. That was the perfect background for unfold this history.
Got it. So Antoine, apart from the fact this guy was obviously a nightmare to work with, what were the biggest challenges? What were the biggest challenges to bring this to the screen for you?
Well, we're in France, our production company is used to work with well-known actor in France, and this movie was out of the box, and we need a long time to finance the movie, since there were no clue for the financiers to put money on the movie. Julien, it was a debut for him. He directed some series, but it was far from the movie. Different side. No, but I mean. Really far. And with Julien, we were friends at the beginning, so I guess it helped to. It helped at some point. It helped, yeah. And no, the result is really. You have a lot of gratitude when you see the work of Julien. He's really focused.
Yeah.
he move right away, and you have to follow.
Yeah, exactly. And just tell us, and obviously Netflix have bought it. Are there any plans for theatrical exhibition?
Yeah, it was a pre-sale. Like Canal Plus Group, Netflix bought the movie for a French pre-sale, only in France.
Not in America.
No, Metrograph bought the movie for America. They will release the movie in maybe March or April.
Got it. Audrey, I told you when we met earlier that having seen the film for the first time, that I didn't remember the music, which was a great compliment. This time, of course, I was much more attentive to it, and I was so impressed with what you did, because if each scene was like a bead, your music cues was like the string that turned it into a necklace. You had a really beautiful understanding of when to stay silent, of when just obviously this is your work too, Julien, but I'm fascinated that you didn't make any hats off to Corsican folk music or anything else. You chose a score using that treated piano, and it gave this beautiful overarching sense of unease and melancholy primarily to the story, and it underscored moments, beautiful misdirects. You misdirect her so many times wonderfully well, like the moment when he's stepping out of the car and two guys walk behind him, and you think, oh no, it's so cleverly done. But talk to me, Audrey, about your choices for the music, how you made them.
Thank you for everything you said. Yeah, Julien was listening a playlist when he was writing the script that I had the chance to read very early. And he was listening a playlist with a cello and piano. And so when the time came to choose the DNA of the soundtrack of The Kingdom, we thought that cello could be the death part, because of its sense of solemnity and also the depth of the sound of a cello. And we thought also that the piano could be the live part in its high register, so that we could combine these two instruments to be the circle of life and death coming. And also we choose to have very few themes that was coming again and again during the film, throughout the film, to express the obsession of the character evolving, and also at some point the film choose and ask us to be very discreet, that the melody would have to stay very simple, because the music had to stay in the background to not impose emotion. And just like to be this intimate approach could give the viewer emotion, but not imposing them. So I think that at some point Julien decided sing, I tried sing, and at some point the movies was asking us also to follow this very discreet and subtle way of giving emotion to the viewer, I hope. So thank you.
It did. It succeeded. It's a profoundly moving film. I would sort of want to talk to this guy and all of you for ages and kind of gush. I'm your newest fanboy, really.
I am the fanboy. I am the fanboy.
I'm sure you guys have got some questions, so why not? Let's have a couple of those. Yes, sir. Did anyone hear the question? Did he have police advisors helping him with the movie?
No, not at all. No, in Corsica we know how to use guns.
Yes.
Thank you for your question. No, actually, it's funny because it was one of the script part that was totally underrated in terms of music. Everything was scripted just like the way you saw it. We just cut a few things on editing, but we knew that it was going to be a party at this time, and she had to learn and understand that Stay was dead through a silent TV, while everybody was partying around with kids in front of the TV. Everything was already scripted, but I don't know why, but I hadn't thought about the music at that point. You know, everything was to me emotional enough on the script without thinking about the music. And then on the editing room, we said, okay, what the fuck is the music? Which music? And we tried maybe like 100 tracks, you know, and we went, yeah, I was saying, okay, it's French song, but for the French one, because it's quite fine. We thought about Patricia Cass at some point. See, it's working. So yeah, we searched a lot about that one, and at some point Toto came up just like that, and we tried it with my editor, and yeah, it was a perfect match. But the thing is, Toto is not cheap, and we are not we're not a super big budget movie, you know. We're struggling to.
What was the budget? As a matter of interest?
What was the budget, Antoine? By the way,
Antoine,
That's a question for Antoine.
don't lie.
4 million.
Okay.
The budget of the movie.
Yeah.
But when we were talking about
music
Toto,
were like
it was not
400.
4 million. It was 3.6.
Yeah.
And it was just like no more spend, no. Get rid of the music, no. And we said, yeah, fuck it. I mean, the track is great, the scene is great like that. Let's try, because we had working screenings, you know, with the producer, the distributors. We said, let's keep Toto because it's working very well, and let's figure it out and just see how they react on this track. And yeah, they loved it. So he said, "Okay, I will buy you Toto, but you need to do something for me in the end of the film." So, come on, you're still bargaining. As I'm still the beggar, you know. Yeah. But yeah, Toto came very late on the process.
Very good. More questions? Yes. Please wrap. That's not a question. Sorry, that's a statement. All right, guys. You can't get this,
why don't we shut the fuck up?
Quality of help these days is just, it's terrible. All right. I guess we have to wrap.
And one last.
Go on, one last question. I better be really good. Pressure's on.
Yeah. Give all you got.
Give it. All right, go.
Thank you for your question. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot, and I think the man with the rap now is going to be really angry if I start listing everything. But yeah, the discussion, you know, when they're fishing, you know, on the boat, and Lesia is telling the story to her father about some tourists that when she saw some tourists fishing with a bowl technique, you know. He said, come on, that can't exist. Well, the scene existed, probably at the coma, you know. It was the same one that I had with my father, and it was kind of humiliating. You know, you saw that fishing technique, you know. You say, come on, you've been fooled by tourists, which is one of the most awful things you can say to a Corsican child, you know. You have been traumatized for years, and but I didn't wait like Lesia is doing on the film. I took a bowl somewhere in the garage. I took an old white sheet and a kind of rub, and I went in front of my house in Corsica because I had the chance to live by the shore, and I tried with some. What? Flour.
Thank you for nothing.
And melt? What's melt? So I tried the technique. I saw the same morning, and it worked. Yeah. So I was on my own on the beach yelling just with this bowl full of fish, you know. And I did the process like 4 times, and I get a full bucket of fishes, and I went back home, and I say, here are the tourists, to my father. And then I never heard about this story again, and we never talk about that.
We should get out, but I'm sure, knowing how generous these guys are, if any of you have other questions, that you'll be able to talk about them outside. So
Sure.
thank you all so much.
Thank
and
you.
most of all, thank you guys.
Thank you, John.